USS West Virginia, a Colorado-class battleship, was the second United States Navy ship named in honor of the country's 35th state. She was laid down on the 12th of April 1920 at Newport News, Virginia, launched on the 19th of November 1921 and commissioned on the 1st of December 1923. Her first captain was Thomas J.Senn. After her shakedown and crew training were finished, she was overhauled at Hampton Roads and later ran aground in Lynnhaven Channel. After her repairs, she participated in exercises and engineering and gunnery courses, winning 4 medals in the latter. She participated in other fleet tactical development operations until 1939. In 1940 she was transferred to Pearl Harbor to guard against potential Japanese attack, and was sunk by 6 torpedoes and 2 bombs during the attack on Pearl Harbor. On the 17th of May 1942, she was salvaged from the seabed by draining the water from her hull. After repairs in Pearl Harbor, she sailed to the Puget Sound Navy Yard. She received an extensive refit, including the replacement of her 5-inch, 25-caliber anti-aircraft guns and single-purpose 5-inch, 51-caliber guns with 5-inch, 38-caliber anti-aircraft guns. She left Puget Sound in July 1944 for Leyte Gulf. She bombarded Leyte in November 1944, becoming part of a successful American plan to destroy the portion of the Japanese fleet trying to sail through the Suragawa Strait, and later attacked Iwo Jima and Okinawa. At the end of the Pacific War, she entered Tokyo Bay for the Japanese surrender and became part of Operation Magic Carpet, making 3 runs to Hawaii to transport veterans home. She was deactivated on the 9th of January 1947 and laid up at Bremerton, Washington, until sold for scrap on the 24th of August 1959. Description: West Virginia was 624 feet long overall, had a beam of 97.3 feet after her rebuild, and a draft of 30.5 feet. She displaced 32,100 long tons as designed, and up to 33,060 long tons at full load. The ship was powered by a 4-shaft turbo-electric drive rated at 28,900 shaft horsepower and 8 Babcock and Amp Wilcox boilers, generating a top speed of 21 knots. She had a range of 8,000 nautical miles at 10 knots and a crew of 1,407 officers and enlisted men when commissioned. She was armed with a main battery of 8 16-inch, 45-caliber Mark Chapter 1 guns in 4 twin-gun turrets on the centerline, 2 forward and 2 aft. The secondary battery consisted of 16 5-inch, 51-caliber guns. The anti-aircraft defense consisted of 4 3-inch, 23-caliber guns, which were soon replaced with 4 5-inch, 25-caliber guns. The secondary battery of 5-inch, 51-caliber guns and the anti-aircraft battery of 5-inch, 25-caliber guns were replaced with 5-inch, 38-caliber guns, standard for capital ships of the period. She carried 2 21-inch torpedo tubes in deck-mounted torpedo launches which were removed in a later overhaul. A CXAM-1 radar was installed in 1940. West Virginia's main armored belt was 13.5 inches thick over the magazines and the machinery spaces, and 8 inches elsewhere. The main battery gun turrets had 18-inch thick faces, and the supporting barbets had 13 inches of armor plating on their exposed sides. Armor 3.5 inches thick protected the decks, and the conning tower had 11.5-inch thick sides. Construction and commission. West Virginia's keel was laid down on the 12th of April 1920 at Newport News, Virginia by the Newport News Shipbuilding and Dry Dock Company. She was launched on the 19th of November 1921 and commissioned on the 1st of December 1923. Her construction was sponsored by Alice Wright Mann, daughter of prominent West Virginian Isaac T. Mann, and her first captain was Thomas J.Senn. As she was one of the newest American superdreadnoughts, she incorporated the latest features in naval design. Several different features from American battleships planned before the Battle of Jutland included a watertight, compartmentalized hull and the thickness of her armor. Interwar period. After her trials, shakedown, and post-commission repairs, she departed Newport News for New York Harbor for work purposes. After a brief amount of work at the New York Navy Yard, she departed the harbor for Hampton Roads for repairs. Along the way, she experienced steering gear troubles. When her overhaul was completed, she departed Hampton on the morning of the 16th of June 1924, at 10:10 a.m., while she was sailing down the center of Lynnhaven Channel. The quartermaster reported that the rudder indicator and emergency bell to the steering engine room were unresponsive. Captain Senn quickly ordered all engines stopped, but the engine room telegraph would not respond to messages. There was no power to the engine room or steering telegraphs. Using the voice tube from the bridge to main control, Senn ordered full power on the port engine and stopped the starboard. A crew tried to steer the ship with her engines and keep her in the channel, and, when this failed, to keep her away from the edge of the channel. Their efforts were fruitless. The ship lost headway due to engine failure, and she ran aground on the soft mud bottom. In its investigation of the grounding, the Court of Inquiry found that inaccurate and misleading navigational data had been supplied to the ship. The chart legend indicated greater channel width than actually existed, and Senn and the navigator were exonerated. After she was repaired, West Virginia became the battle fleet flagship on the 30th of October 1924. The ship won the American Defense Society's American Defense Cup and the Spokane Cup, presented by the city's Chamber of Commerce in recognition of her excellence in short-range firing. In addition to battle efficiency pennants in 1925, 1927, 1932 and 1935. During this period she underwent a cycle of training, maintenance and readiness exercises, participating in engineering and gunnery competitions and the annual fleet problems. In the latter, the fleet would be divided into opposing sides where strategic and tactical situation would be implemented, with the lessons learned becoming part of a doctrine later tested in combat. As part of Fleet Problem V in 1925, she participated in an attack on the Hawaiian Islands to test its coastal defenses. The year after, she participated with the battle fleet in a voyage to Australia and New Zealand. In later exercises, she sailed from Hawaii to first the Caribbean and then the Atlantic. She also made a voyage from Alaska to Panama. In Fleet Problem she and the battleship Tennessee accidentally fired several rounds at the aircraft carrier Saratoga, mistaking her for Lexington. She received performance-enhancing modifications, including the replacement of her original 3-inch, 23-caliber anti-aircraft battery with 5-inch, 25-caliber guns in 1927-28, the addition of platforms for half-inch machine guns at the foremast and maintop, and the addition of catapults to her quarterdeck after No. 3 turret. West Virginia was one of 14 ships to receive early RCACX-AM-1 radar. During the late 1930s it became evident that it was only a matter of time before the United States became involved in another large-scale war. and the fleet was dispatched to the Pacific in the spring of 1939 and stationed in Hawaii in 1940 after Fleet Problem 21 as a Japanese deterrent. During 1941, West Virginia carried out intensive training from Pearl Harbor as part of a number of task forces and groups around Hawaii, with an unusually tense period beginning in late November and continuing into December. Training was usually followed by in-port upkeep along southeastern Ford Island.